All right, hello everyone, this is Mr. Crozier. I'm going to give you some help on our word problems here for worksheet number 1. We have 8 problems, 8 answers at the bottom. I'm going to go through all of them. These last 2 problems, just as a bit of a warning, are 2-step problems that require SOHCAHTOA, so you have to go back to a regular right triangle in them. Number 1 here, we have Alice and Eric standing on the coast, and there's the coastline, and they're looking out here at a boat, and you can find the angles in between, and you can use the sine rule. When you have 2 angles, you can always use the sine rule. You have this formula sheet here, and you'll notice about the law of sine, when you have 2 angles, you can use the sine rule. When you only have 1 angle, it requires the cosine rule. That's how I remember it. Problem number 2. Alvin, Simon, Theodore go camping. Here are their tents. And what we're doing is looking for the largest angle. Well, the largest angle corresponds to the largest side. So we just do the cosine rule there. And I'll show you how I do it on my calculator. I do 170 squared minus 123 squared minus 140 squared. And now that I have that, I divide that by this whole denominator here. I divide it by all of this. Negative 2 times 123 times 140, and that's all in parentheses. Now I have that, and it's second cosine, second answer, and it's 80.2. So if you need to write it out, but if you can do it in those steps, it's a lot shorter. Number 3, same deal here. Draw a picture, put the measurements in the right spot, and we only have 1 angle, so we're using the cosine rule here. And since it's an explicit equation, all you gotta do is do the work. Don't forget to take the square root. On number 4, we have 2 planes leaving JFK, and the first one is at south, right here, turn of 65. So that's where that 65 comes in. The plane is going south, but it turns to the east. And the next one is going to the north, but it turns to the west, and that's where that turn comes from. So that degrees right there is the turn. To find the length, well, it goes from 8:30 to 10. That's 1.5 hours. So times the speed by 1.5. Right? You just take 560 for 1 hour, but I want 1.5 hours, 840. And I really recommend, after you do all of this work on a bearing axis, redraw your triangle over there. It's 975, 840, and this angle that's included combines these 3 values right there for 145. And you have side, angle, side, only 1 angle, cosine rule right there. On the back, number 4, again, 2 planes. Now that on number 5, we have Claire walking this distance, and now we have a bearing with no north and south on it. So if you don't have a north and south, you just put your 0, 90, 180, and 270. Then you can figure it out. 146 is right there. And 146, if I do 146 minus 90, it's 56 degrees past 90. And then 90 minus 56 leaves 34 for that one. And this one is 205, and 205 minus 180 is 25. So that leftover angle is 25. And again, take this, redraw it, use the cosine rule. Number 6, looking up at this height right here. Well, I have an angle, a side, and I can figure out this angle because these are supplementary, so this is 165. Angle, side, angle. I can use the sine rule, and I can figure out that this distance right here is 120.8 because that's what we're looking for from Bobby to Alice, 120.8. And now when I jump over to problem 7, now I know that that length was 120.8 right there, and now I can use SOHCAHTOA to figure out how high this is. The sine of this is opposite over hypotenuse, so I can just do that. Number 8 is really a combination of problems 6 and 7 built into one. you have a blimp, and you have that this angle is 48, and we're looking for this height. Well, we can't find this directly, but what we can do is figure out this part of the triangle with the sine rule. That's what I've done there. And then once I have that, now I can redraw this, and there's my blimp, there's the height. 70 is what we're looking up at, and we know this, so I can write a simple little sine equation right there. And we don't need to know this distance down here. I had a lot of people trying to figure out what this was. We don't need to know it. All right, well, I hope this helps with the worksheet. If you have questions, we will have time in class tomorrow.